Hello and welcome to Pro Tools 110 Exercise 3 from the 2022 ebook. Hope everyone is doing well as we dive into this lesson. All right, first thing I want to show you is this. We're in the Pro Tools Exercise Media folder. We're in the Pro Tools 110 Exercise folder. You'll see Exercise 3 and Exercise 4. Neither of them have PTX files. Neither of them have session files. This means that we're going to be creating a new session from scratch. And in the case of exercise 3 and I believe exercise 4, actually no, there is a session there. Oh, look at that. It's in something else. That's interesting. Can't wait for that. But in exercise 3, there is no session. So we'll be creating one, and it looks like we will be importing this audio. So just wanted to throw that at you first off. Okay, so if you don't have the exercise 3 media files, make sure you go to this tiny URL link that's right here and download the stuff. Otherwise you won't be able to do this. Okay, so let's get started. Launch Pro Tools. I will do that right now. Need some hold music for this, right? There we go. And as you can see, we're going to be going to the dashboard. We learned about this at the beginning of the 101 book. And we're going to be setting up these parameters for our session. And we are going to call this just we'll just call this exercise 3 with your initials. That's all you need to do. All right, here we go. Boom. So create, and we're going to call this exercise 3. I'll put this for the 110 book with your initials. We're going to store this locally on our computer or hard drive. WAV file, 24-bit. What do they want us to do? They want us to do 44.1. Great. Stereo mix, interleaved audio, that's my favorite, and let's keep it on prompt for location, because what I would highly suggest is you save this in the Pro Tools Exercise 3 folder. Because this is Exercise 3, you might as well save the session in there. So save it in the Exercise 3 folder that's in your Pro Tools Exercise Media folder. Save. Boom. Here we go. Brand new session. Looking good. Okay. This guy, I saw much more than the last ebook. He loves making lots of tracks. So we're going to create 17 mono audio tracks and 17 stereo audio tracks. And we're just going to use the default names. In other words, it'll just be audio 1, audio 2, audio 3. That's what it does for the names if you don't type anything. So track new. So we're going to create right here, we could create our number right here, 17 mono audio tracks, and then what was the other one? 7 stereo audio tracks. And I believe that's all he wants us to do. All right, we'll hit create. Boom. Look at that. Yours might look different than mine. Maybe your tracks are this size. Maybe they're that size. What I would suggest is there we go. Since they're all selected, hold down Shift and Option, or Shift and Alt if you're on a PC, and then click on this thing that looks like a ruler. Right click on it while you're holding on Shift and Option. Right click on it, and then choose the size that you want. Let's put it on, medium right now. That's good, because I like seeing the buttons nice and big. Okay, let's see what it looks like now. First, we'll need to do some manual renaming. Rename the first 4 mono audio tracks the following: Barry solo, Barry, bass, guitar. Okay, so double click here, Barry solo, double click here, Barry. Audio 3 will be bass, and audio 4 will be guitar. If you get a job in an audio facility, this will probably be your first job, is doing tedious stuff like this. And for the first stereo audio tracks, Bone Falls, drums, piano comp, piano solo. Okay, so how do you know if it is stereo or mono? Well, that is a good question. One way, at least the way I do it, is if you look at your track area right here, this blank area where you're going to put your clips. I'm going to scroll down to around where it says audio 17 and 18. If you look closely in audio 17, it's just gray squares. If you look at audio 18, it's also gray squares, but there's a faint dark gray line halfway through it. That lets you know that's a stereo track. Because if you remember, stereo is 2. So if I put a stereo clip on here, I'll see 2 rows of waveforms, one for the left channel and one for the right channel. Mono is 1. So if I put a clip on this one, a mono clip, it'll just be one big waveform because there's only one channel of audio. And you can tell when you look at the blank tracks, if you see this faint line in the middle of the track, faint horizontal line, you will know that's a stereo track. So that's one easy way. Another way is to look at your inputs. See how this says in 1? This is a mono track, so I can only record a mono signal into it. This is a stereo track. It says in 1 and 2, which means I can record stereo audio into it. That's another way you can tell if it's a mono track or a stereo track. Okay, Bone Falls, drums, piano comp, piano solo. So this is the first stereo track. I'm going to call it Bone Falls. And this will be drums. And then it's piano comp, piano. Oh, piano solo. Boom, there we go. Okay, now let's do some more here. Okay, so let's see here. Typically, you'll use batch renaming when working with large numbers of tracks, but for the purposes of building your skills, doing it multiple times with smaller numbers of tracks will help you work quickly with this feature. Please use batch rename workflow for steps 5 through 10. Okay. Rename the first 2 generically named mono tracks, Alto 1 and Alto 2. Save your batch rename settings in preset number 1. Okay. So here are our generic names 5 and 6 because we named the first 4. So these audio 5 and 6 would be the next 2. So what we're going to do is unselect all of these. So Option or Alt, click on any of these nameplates, and that unselects them, right? So, well, what I like to do is I like to know what I'm going to rename. So I like to Shift Select. So let's do this. Right click on Audio 5. Batch rename. So here we go. Let's go back into here. And this is all in the chapter as well if you want to read up more on this. Rename the first 2 generically named audio tracks, Alto 1 and Alto 2. Save your batch rename settings in preset 1. Okay. Find audio. Let's see here. Oh, I see. Audio, replace with alto. This is the part I have to look up. I always forget this bit right here. So let's go into the lesson. Utilize batch renaming. There it is, batch renaming. Select the tracks that you want to rename. Right-click on one of the selected track nameplates, a menu will appear. Choose Batch Rename. So let's do that. So I want to rename 5 and 6. Right-click on one of them, Batch Rename. Okay, so when the Replace checkbox is clicked, you have the ability to find words and replace them to clear a track's existing name entirely, or to find and replace text based on advanced criteria. When checking the trim box, you have the ability to remove name characters from the beginning of the track name, the end of the name, or within a defined range. Add. When the Add checkbox is clicked, you could type a new name in a number of ways. So if I want to name a bunch of my tracks guitar, maybe there's 50 guitars in this mix, and I want to call it guitar 1, guitar 2, guitar 3, that's when I would do add, and the prefix would be the guitar. Numbering. You can apply numbers to your renamed tracks in a number of ways. So you can choose a starting number. The increment value determines the steps in which the numbering will be structured. Wow, lots of stuff. So in this session, we have 10 audio tracks that have not been descriptively named. We want them to be named vocal 1, 2, and 3. So we don't want to keep the previous names, as we don't here. So we will click Replace and then the Clear Existing Name checkbox. So Replace, Clear Existing Name. There we go. Now we're calling these ones, what is it, alto? Since we're building new track names from scratch, you can uncheck the trim checkbox, okay? And we're going to add new names. So we're going to call this alto. And let's see here, and choose end as a number position because you want the number to be 1, 2, 3, and so on. You'll want to set the number of places at 2 characters. And because you want to put a space between the name and the number, check the separate with box and enter a single space in the field. Yeah, this is a little tricky. Basically, this is where it's kind of like coding in a way. So, okay, I want my number to be at the end. I want the starting number to be 1, but I want it to be 01, so the number of places would be 2. And let's see what it says here. Separate with. We would want to separate with. See how there's like, look, you want to click on space. Do that again. What that does is that's saying I am getting rid of audio 5 and audio 6, just the names entirely. I'm replacing it with the name alto, and then there'll be a number after the alto at the end of the word, and that number will start with 1, and then when it gets to the second one, it will be called 2, but it'll be called 01 and 02 because I'm doing a 2-digit number, and in increments of 1. You know, some people might want to go 1, 3, 5 or whatever. I'm just doing 1, 2. And separate with a space because I don't want it to look like this. I want it to look like that. And so that is why we separate it with a space there. So we hit OK, and let's see what happens. Alto 1, alto 2. So that is a quick lesson in batch renaming. It's not something I do very often because I guess you would do it if you were sound designing something, say with a lot of dialogue tracks, and you always call your dialogue tracks DX. So you might do DX1, DX2, DX3, DX4. I could see doing it in a situation like that for sure. Okay, let's get back to the exercise. Okay. Alto 1 and alto 2. So now we're going to do bass bone 1 and bass bone 2. Okay, so he likes repetition in here, and that's cool. So these are the next generic ones. Select them, right click on one of them, batch rename. We are going to replace these, but first we're going to clear the existing name. Then we're going to call this, what are we calling this? Bass bone. Got it. All right. What is going on in this thing? Bass bone. And I'm calling it, I know he's saying 1. I like 01 better. So stick with what I'm saying here. Bass bone. Numbering at the end, starting number 1, 2 places. So it'll be 01 instead of just 1. Increment in increments of 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Separate with a space. Hit OK. Boom. Look at that. Wow, I should use this more often. And now bone 1, bone 2, bone 3. Oh, I'm supposed to be saving my rename settings. Okay, that's cool. We'll do that for this one right here. 1, 2, 3. Right click. Batch rename. So we're just going to call this bone. And save your batch rename settings in preset number 2. All right, we'll do that. And remember, these are our presets up here. So we hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC and click the number, and that saves whatever you've done in here as a preset. So if I don't want to have to type all this in again later on, I can always click on 2 and it'll pop right up. So we'll do this. And then we're going to, the next two will be tenor 1 and tenor 2. Dude, I'm digging this batch rename. Like I said, I never do this, but it's kind of cool. Okay. Tenor. Make sure the space is there. It is. And then the next one is trumpet 1, trumpet 2, trumpet 3, trumpet 4. And this is going to be preset 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Batch rename. What's this one called? Trumpet. Trumpet. And we're gonna, this is preset 3, so I'll command or control on Windows. Number 3, it's saved in there. Wow. Okay, there we go. And look, now we're on the stereo tracks, the ones that we manually renamed before. So now we're going to rename these last stereo tracks as Trumpet Falls 1, Trumpet Falls 2, and Trumpet Falls 3. So click, 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 or shift click, I mean. Right click, batch rename, Trumpet Falls, boom. Now you see that there isn't a space there, and that's because these nameplates in Pro Tools only can take so many characters. So even though, yes, I told the nameplate to have a space between falls and the number 01, because the nameplate itself isn't big enough for all of this information, it just scrunches it together. So you'll find that in Pro Tools, you should always be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Conservative with how you name your nameplates, name your tracks, because if you use too many letters and or numbers, it's just going to compress them all and it'll kind of just look all jumbled. So this is about the maximum amount of letters and numbers you could put in a nameplate right here. Okay, when you're done, your track should look something like this. Yes, sirree. Pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to bring in folders. The other thing that I love about this chapter is it's introducing you to folder tracks. Folder tracks are super cool. Now, we've learned a little bit about aux tracks and submixes. You know, you might remember we would create an aux track and we would route normal audio tracks to that aux track, and then we would take that aux tracks fader, go up and down, and it would control the volume for all of the tracks that are routed to that aux track. Cool. Routing folders do the exact same thing. Routing folders take the steps out of making an aux track and give you the same power that an aux track has. So in other words, we learned how to do aux tracks and submixes the hard way. Now we're going to show you the easy way. Okay. We have several tracks in a flat or an organized list. We'll also start to use track presets to make your work easier and show the power of the track preset feature. Open a workspace browser window and choose New Workspace. Okay. Hold on a sec. There we go. All right. In the workspace, navigate to the Cheesecake folder and to the track presets folder. Okay, so Pro Tools Exercise 3 folder. Okay, so this would be, so what we're doing here is we're going to find our Pro Tools Exercise Media folder through the Workspace browser. So you want to click on Volumes, and it's probably in your Documents folder. It should be. Mine's not, because my Documents folder is so full. So I have it in a folder called Excess. And look, there it is. There it is, right there. Right? Right. And here's something that says Track Presets. Click the Big Band subs PTXP file. A pane will appear to the right. Oh, wow. This is good stuff. Look at that. See this? This is a track preset folder, and what this is, this means Pro Tools Track Preset. PTX is Pro Tools Session File. PTXP is Pro Tools Track Preset file. So, in the track data column, choose all items except alternate playlists, clips, and media, clip gain, and effects. Here, I'll keep this up for you to see. Okay, there we go. So in the track data column, we want to uncheck clips and media. So make sure that's off. Oh, so basically these four we want to be off. In the session data, choose tempo meter map, markers memory, and oh, that's it. And track offset, keep it on no offset, and then drag the file into an empty area at the bottom of your sessions tracks list. Wow. All right, let's do it. This is exciting. Okay, so you're like, tracks list, what are you talking about? Well, let's go into Pro Tools. This is our clips list. This is our edit window. Where is our tracks list? Well, I hid mine last time, but down here in this little left corner of the edit window, if you click on it, this is your tracks list. Here are our tracks, right? So they are all right here, and I opened it up by clicking this little button. So if you don't see a tracks list, you make sure you have to click on this little guy right here to open it up. And there it is. So what they want us to do is drag that PTXP file into an empty area here. And it will get a notification message letting you know that our session's tempo will be overwritten by what we're importing. That's cool. So let's go back. Oops, I got to do it again. Do I? I feel like it should still be open. No, it's not. Okay, I guess I got to do it again. Okay, so we don't want these. We want tempo and meter map and markers and memory locations, and we want no offset. Great. So what we're doing is we're telling Pro Tools what we want our tracks to have. So what's cool about this is if you work in a session, if you work in sessions where you kind of like to have your tracks set up the same way, maybe you're always working at the same tempo, or maybe you're Elastic Audio is always polyphonic or whatever, and it's always on. Instead of manually clicking all that stuff every time you open up a new session, you just bring in the track preset file and it'll just do all that for you. So it's basically kind of like a bookmark of your settings. So we'll take this, drag it into here, let it go, and yes, there we go. See, look what happened there. It has, wow, let's talk about this. One or more plugins don't exist in your, yeah, that's cool, whatever. Okay. Here's what your session might look like at this point. Now, let's move tracks into the appropriate folders using a different workflow methods. Okay, so what has happened here? Well, what has happened here is this is a track preset. So basically, whoever made this is working on an album where all of the songs have the same instruments, and he wants all the submixes to be set up the same way. So instead of making a routing folder or an aux track and always having certain tracks pointing to it and then color coding it, as you can see, manually, he just does it once, saves it as a track preset, and in the next session he opens, he can just import that track preset, and these folder tracks are already there, and they're already named, and they're already color coded, ready to go. And look, they already have effects in them that he wants to use. Again, this is something you do if you're working on a repetitive project and you're working on multiple sessions that all have the same track parameters. Okay, so drag the following tracks into the sax sub routing folder track. Bari, alto 1 and 2, tenor 1 and 2. So you'll see these are folder tracks. How can you tell? Look right here. Any track that's got a little folder icon right there is a folder track. And you're like, how can you tell if it's a basic folder track or a routing folder track? Well, I'll tell you. A basic folder track is literally just a folder. You put stuff in it to organize it, and a basic folder track lets you mute it or unmute it. But you can't add any effects to it. You can't do any real complex editing with it. A routing folder track looks like a regular track. It's got inserts, it's got sends, it has almost everything that a regular track does. Basic folder track doesn't. It's just a folder, so it doesn't give you any inserts or sends because it's not made for that. So we want alto 1. So let's do this. I'll do it this way first. Scroll up in your edit window, alto 1, click on alto 1, shift click on alto 2. What else? Shift click on, I take that back. Command click or control click on Bari. Command click or control click if you're on a PC on alto 1. Command click on alto 2. Command click on tenor 1. Command click on tenor 2. And now those 5 are selected, and we want those to go to the sax sub routing folder. So with them selected, just click on one of them, and as you can see, I'm dragging them with me. Scroll down and put it in, and as you can see, when I hover my mouse over sax sub, a little rectangle appears letting me know that I can drop it in there. So you just let it go. And now look, we have a folder track because it's got the folder, and inside it, and you can tell because it's indented a little bit, we have the 5 tracks we selected. So those 5 tracks now exist. They're still in our session, they just exist in this folder now. Now, adjust the order of the tracks to the following. So on alto 1, alto 2, tenor 1, tenor 2, Bari. So option or option, I would say, let's command click Bari. Command click each of these to deselect them. Now, just click once on Bari and drag it to where it's under tenor 2. And now we want out. So basically all we did was we moved Bari to the bottom. That's what we want for this. Okay. So now change the output. Oops. Change. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. There we go. Something weird was happening. Change the output of these 5 audio tracks to the sax sub bus. You can do this easier if the track height is set to medium. If you followed me in the beginning, you would already be set at medium, so it's all cool. Change the output to the sax sub bus. Okay. How do you do that? Well, as you can see, the sax sub is right this. Like I said, this is like an aux track. Its input is the sax sub bus. These exist in this folder, but we have to tell these guys to go to the sax sub bus. So, output, bus, sax sub bus. 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 There we go. So these are all going out to the folder. And so what we've done is we have dragged these tracks into this folder and are now telling these tracks to output their audio to this folder. That makes this whatever we do to this folder track will control here. So if I bring the fader up here, it brings the fader up on all of these. If I bring the fader down on sax sub, it brings the fader down on all of these. Why? Because we put these outputs on a bus to this input, which is the folder track. Now, there is an easier way to do that where you don't have to do that step, and I believe he's going to get to that in this exercise coming up. Let's try a different way with the trumpets. Select the following tracks. Trumpet 1, 2, 3, 4, trumpet falls 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. Here's another way. Let's just go to the track window. Click on that. Command click, command click, command click. That's trumpet 1, 2, 3, 4. And look, see, whatever I do in the track window applies to the edit window. So if it's easy, so if you want to scroll up and down to find stuff, you could just find on your list right here and click on it. Super easy. And then trumpet falls 1, 2, 3, and I'm command clicking. That's how I'm able to select multiple things throughout the list. Now, right click on any of the selected track names and choose move to TPT sub. So I'm going to click on any of these track names that I highlighted. Move to, this is one of the folder tracks that we imported. So that's another way to do it. So you can manually drag, or you can right click, or you can select multiple tracks, right click on it, move to, and tell it what folder track you want to go to. So this folder track is called trumpet sub, and as you can see, there is a sub bus, but these are not being output to the sub bus, so this folder track does not yet control these. These are housed within the folder, but they're not controlled by the folder yet. So since these tracks are still selected, there you go. So if this is fun. So we have to do the same thing where we click on the output, go to bus, and go to the transport sub bus. But before we do that, shift click on all of the tracks that are in this transport sub folder. With them all selected, now go to the output on one of those tracks within the folder. Go to the output, like I'm doing right here. Hold down Shift and Option, or Alt. Shift or Option and Alt, or I'm sorry, Shift and Option or Alt if you're on Windows. Click bus, transport sub bus, and watch what happens. All the ones that were selected moved to the bus that I selected. So instead of going one by one, like this, then this, then this, I just selected my nameplates, then Shift Option, or Shift Alt on Windows, chose the bus, and that Shift Option thing that I did with the click changed all of the ones that were selected. So that's a good way to do a mass change to selected items. Shift Option. Okay, so using either of the methods, move and properly route the following tracks to piano sub in this order. Oh, we want to actually move these. Bone 1, Bone 2, wait, what are we doing here? Okay. Move and route the following tracks to the trombone sub. Bone 1, 2, 3, basically anything that says bone. All right, so let's go here. Bone 1, 2, 3, bone falls, bass bone 1 and 2. Yep, that's it. Sorry, 1, 2, sorry. There we go. Hitting the wrong button. And now you can right click in here too. Right click, move to trombone sub. Boom. There it is. And all the stuff is still selected. So I will shift option, click on one of their outputs, have the bus go to bone sub bus, I believe. Yep, cool. So now the output is bone sub bus for all of these tracks that are within this folder track whose input is bone sub bus. Now we're going to do the same thing for the piano. Piano comp, piano solo, correct? And we want it to be in this order. So move to piano sub, boom, and then while these two are still selected, Shift Option, click on the output, go down to bus, piano sub bus, boom. Now see, this is now going to this bus. And I forgot to change some stuff around. So he wants the piano solo to be on top. So unselect these by just option clicking on one of them, and click and hold, drag it up, boom. And he wants us to do the same thing here too. He wants bone 1, 2, and 3 to be first. So bone 1, bone 2, bone 3, then bass bone 1, bass bone 2, bass bone 4. Okay, that's in the order he wants. Great. And then finally, using either of the methods, move and properly route the following tracks to the rhythm subtrack in this order. So let's just do it this way. So scroll to the top of our edit window. All right, there we go. We've got bass, shift click guitar, shift click drums, right? And then right click on bass, move to rhythm sub. Oops, where is that rhythm sub? There it is, way at the bottom. And these are still selected, so Shift Option on one of their outputs, put it on the rhythm sub bus. Boom! Now these three tracks are being controlled by this one because of the inputs and outputs, as you can see. And we want it to be in the order of guitar, bass, and drums. So Option click one of these to deselect them. Guitar, drag it up, guitar, bass, drums. Okay, if I were you, I would save because we've done a lot of cool stuff, so save it. Cool. You notice the Bari solo track is unassigned. That's intentional. We will move it on in the next section. Okay, track colors. Now that we have our tracks organized into folders, let's color code them. Let's take the sax subfolder track as an example. It's a routing folder track, color bright yellow, with a master fader within colored dark yellow. Okay, so let's go up to sax sub. All right, here is the sax sub. right here. Let's see here. So as you can see, there is sax sub, and then there is this one. Each one of these subs has a little skinny track right there that you may have not noticed because its size is so tiny. It's at the top of each folder track. This one says sax sub, right? And underneath that is this little thing that says S sub MF. Click and hold and make it a little bigger. That is the sax sub master fader. So what they want us to do is select both the sax sub and sax sub master fader tracks. So shift click both of them. From the window, select color palette. Window. Where'd you go? Color palette. The color palette window will indicate the colors of the selected tracks. Click the hold button so these tracks will still be indicated even when you change your track selection. Okay, so put this on tracks. Hold. Next, select all the, select all the audio tracks within the sax sub folder track. Okay, so let's go back into Pro Tools and shift click Alto 1, Alto 2, Tenor 1, Tenor 2, and Bari. So we've selected the sax sub folder track as well as all the tracks that are within it. Finally, click the color tile between the two indicated tiles. So by selecting all of these, Pro Tools is showing us what colors are already in this track. So there's like a yellow, and then there's like a dark. So see, there's this color, which is this, and this is like a brown, which is this. So that's letting me know that those are the two colors that were in this folder track to begin with. So we want all of these, I guess, to click the color tile. Okay. We want to change all of these guys to the middle one. So click on this and watch what happens. Boom. We have just now color coded our sax sub track and everything within it. So if one of these for some reason falls out of this folder, I don't know, you're screwing around and whatever, you're like, hey, where's that Bari track? All you got to do is look for the color. I mean, you look for the name too, but this helps too. Okay, so now we'll go back to here and unhold it. So we did hold because what we did was we wanted, let's shift click this. When we did this, we wanted the color palette to hold because we're telling the color palette, hold on to the two colors that I selected. This one was a yellow, this one was a brown, so it picked yellow and brown, and we held those, and then we selected the other ones that we wanted to change. It's just a way to sort of keep track, help you keep track of stuff. Repeat the process for the other folder tracks, choosing the color tile between the colors of the folder and its enclosed master track. Okay, so keep this palette window open. Let's go down to transport or trumpet sub. Look, trumpet sub master fader. It's that skinny little track. Let's make it a little bigger. So click on trumpet sub, shift click on trumpet sub, manual fader. Oh, actually, no, we have to unhold first. Sorry, unhold. There we go. Trumpet sub. See, it shows that. Trumpet sub master fader. See? Oop, hold on, hit the wrong key there. Trumpet sub master fader, shift click. Those are the two colors that have been selected. I will hold that. And now, no matter what I select, I pressed hold before I selected the other tracks. Boom. Oh, damn it. I always accidentally hit the caps lock key. So I'm selecting all the tracks within the folder. And then I select the middle guy. Boom. And now it's all this deep magenta. Unhold it. Let's go on down the next one. Trombone sub. It's got a trombone sub master fader. Let's expand a little bit. click on the nameplate trombone sub, shift click on bone sub master fader. We see the two colors that those are. Hold it, and then shift click all of the tracks within this folder and select the color in the middle, which is sort of a deep magenta or maroon. There we go. And then we go down to piano sub. Oh wait, let me unhold. Piano sub. Expose the piano sub master fader. Shift click it. Those are the two colors. Hold it. Shift click all of the tracks within the piano sub folder. This is our new color. Click. Boom. Unhold it. And now let's go down the rhythm sub. As you can see, there's a rhythm sub master fader. Light blue, deep turquoise, or whatever that is. Click. Shift click. Hold on a second. There we go. Hold. And now shift click all the tracks within it. Choose the color in the middle, which is like a deep, like an aqua blue or something. There we go. Actually, no, it's more like turquoise. Oh, he's really putting us through it. So that is track colors. Now look at all this. Isn't that cool? Really easy. Say, where's the trombone sub? It's the red one. Where's the piano sub? It's the green one. A lot easier to find stuff now. So now we are going to bring in the audio. We've gotten the majority of your track layout done. So all we've done is basically been laying out our session. It's kind of like setting up your office. You know, oh, I've got a bunch of folders. I'm going to label them properly. And the green one's going to have these documents. And the red one's going to have these documents. All right, bring in the documents. That's what we're doing here. We're basically setting up our workspace. That's kind of what Chapter 3 is partially about. Okay, let's go back into the workspace browser. We have to bring in another track preset. Wow. Open a workspace browser window. And go to track presets. Workspace browser. Workspace, or new workspace. There we go. Okay. Go to our exercise media folder. Go to exercise 3. Track presets. And I guess we're going to bring in Big Band Mix. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, Big Band Mix, a pane will appear to the right, giving you the ability to choose what aspects of the track preset to import. Choose all items except, well, I'll just leave this open so you can see what we're doing. So we don't want alternate playlist clips and media clips. Okay, so that's cool. Session data, we don't want any of this. Track offset, no offset. Okay, so we're just bringing in this stuff, I guess. And then drag this into an empty area at the bottom of the tracks list, just like before. So when we drag this in, we're gonna bring in all of these presets that were made by whoever made this session before. Boom. Okay, looks like a couple plugins were used that we don't have. That's fine. Okay, so it looks like it brought in a cool. It brought in a mix folder. Let's change some of the outputs to take advantage of the tracks we just added. Change the output of the following tracks to dry band bus. Okay. First, let's open this a little bit. So while these are selected, click on any of these little rulers right here. Make a medium. Oops, that didn't work. Oh, I have to shift option, duh. There we go. Okay, so now that's what's going on in this folder. Okay, that's cool. Take advantage of the tracks we just had. So we're going to go up to Barry Solo and change the output to dry band bus. Okay, so let's go up to Barry Solo. Output. Bus. Dry band bus. This is evidently a bus that got brought in when we brought in this mix. Yeah. Okay. So sax sub, trumpet sub, trombone. Oh, all these are going to dry band bus. Got it. Okay. So This is what's cool. So because all of these tracks are in this SAX subfolder and all their outputs are going to the SAX subfolder track, whatever I do the SAX subfolder track will apply to everything within it. So I'm going to tell the SAX subfolder track to go to the dry band bus. So by doing that one little thing, I'm sending everything within this folder, within the SAX subfolder, by changing the output of the folder itself, everything in here is being sent to this bus, which is in this new mixed folder track that we just created or just imported. So we want to do this for everything. So let's go to the trumpet sub. Now this is, remember, this is the trumpet sub folder track. Output, bus, dry band bus. Everything in this trumpet bus folder is now going to that bus. Trombone sub, output bus, dry band bus. Everything in that folder is going to the dry band bus. Same thing for the piano, right? Yeah. And then same thing for the rhythm. Let's save it once again. Okay. During this exercise, you've done what professionals do every day when getting new sessions started. This is true. Getting their tracks set up properly to suit their workflow. In a real-world situation, we'd now be ready to bring in audio, and if everything works as it should, start editing and mixing. Open up the Workspace browser, and we want to go to the audio subfolder. Okay. Actually, let's see here. Let's go to the last one we just did. Yeah, see, we're already there. So every Workspace browser that you open, it gets saved sort of invisibly in the background. So instead of doing new workspace, you just go down to workspaces and see the ones that you opened up earlier in the session. This is the last one I worked at. So instead of having to start over to find something, I'm already in the folder I want. So I could just choose the last workspace I was in. Okay. We drag audio from the clips, let's see, in the Workspace browser, audio subfolder. Got it. Oops. Okay, so here is the audio subfolder with a buttload of audio files in there. Got it. Make sure audio files conform to session is deactivated and drag all of the audio files in the folder into the clips list. Okay, so see this guy right here? This is the, come on. That's not showing you, but if you hovered over it, it should show you what it means. This is the conform audio to session tempo indicator. So if this is a song, it's like boom, 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 but the session has a slower tempo, then when this is on and I drag this in, it will convert the speed of that to a slower tempo. We don't want to do that in this case. So we want to keep this unchecked. So I guess we're dragging in everything. So maybe we just click on audio and drag it into the clips list. Let's see what happens. You actually have to do audio files. I thought maybe you just do the whole folder. That's okay. Click on the first one. Go down to the last one. Shift click. There we go. And now drag these in here. There we go. So now all of those are in there. Now, go ahead and close this. Now we need to drag all the audio files folder. Okay, now we need to drag them from the clips list to the right track. In this case, we want each clip to start exactly at the beginning. So shuffle mode will be helpful. Okay, shuffle mode. Guys, remember what shuffle mode is? What shuffle mode is, it doesn't let you place clips where you want them. It will only let you place clips at the beginning. So, for example, if I took this, undo that. If I took this, You can see this right here. See this line right here? This is letting me know that it's just going to snap it to the beginning. I can't place it in the middle. Shuffle always shuffles the clips to bump up either against the beginning or against the end of whatever clip is already in there. If it was slip mode, oops, then I could put it wherever I want. But we're doing shuffle mode because we want everything to start at the beginning. So there you go. Okay, so drag alto 1 to alto 1 track. Oh, thank goodness these are easy to figure out. So alto, so here's the alto 1 track. Here's alto 1. Drag it. Boom. Alto 2. Boom. Bari. It's pretty much what you would imagine. Bari. There we go. And you can undo this. If you accidentally put something in the wrong track, just hit undo and it undoes it. So just keep that in mind, because I almost did that. Tenor 1, tenor 2, and then looks like we're doing that for everything. So I imagine let's see here, Bari solo. Okay, got it. Bari solo. We'll go to the Bari solo track, which is the one track that's not in anything. Okay, so let's see here. We've got trumpet 1. And you could probably guess this is why having good organizational skills with like proper file names and stuff comes in handy. Because as you can see, the track names and the file names match. So if you're able to, on your productions, to actually like label things on set, scene 1, take 1, scene 1, take 2, it'll be a lot easier to know where to place those clips when you set up your session. Okay, let's see here. Bone 1, bone 2. Why is that solo? We don't want that solo. Bone 3, bass bone 1, bass bone 2, bone falls. Remember, this is stereo, so you see now we see the 2 waveforms. So this is mono. See that? This is stereo because it's 2 of them, left and right. Mono is just 1, stereo is 2, left and right. Okay. Piano solo. Piano comp. Got it. Guitar. Isn't this exciting? Again, this is what you would do if you work somewhere, probably. Hold on a second. You would be, sorry, I think I might have accidentally chosen multiple. So it's guitar, bass, drums, and is that it? Yeah, everything in this mix, these are like aux tracks. So these are all like, everything's being sent here. So what's happening here is by routing every one of these folders to this mix folder through the dry band bus, this mix folder contains a bunch of aux tracks. So this is where you kind of do like a aux track. It's like a folder track within an aux track. Basically, groups of tracks are now being sent to this delay. Groups of tracks are being sent to this reverb. So rather than applying delay and reverb manually on every single track, blah, 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 we could just put the tracks that we want to have delay in one folder, put the tracks we want to have reverb in another folder, for example, and point those to an aux track that has those effects. So it's actually more efficient that way. Okay, Begin playback. You should hear the entire mix through your monitor speakers. Let's check my playback engine's good. It is. Oh my goodness, what's this going to sound like? Okay, right around here, we're going to hear some guitar and bass. Here it comes! So if you look at these meters, you'll see what's going on. Right now, these guys, nothing's happening. Right now, these guys are happening. And they're all going down to this mix folder track, which has all these effects that are being applied to it. And if you, once you play with audio more, you'll be able to say, oh, I could tell there was a little delay, or I could tell there was a little reverb on there, or I could tell it's been EQ'd a little bit. I could tell by listening it. I could tell by listening all that stuff. And like the drums just have like a room sound, kind of like you're in a room. It's not just it's and that is this right here. All of the, like this drum track, for example, is being sent here to this mix folder, and in this mix folder, these effects are being applied to the music, and that is what's giving it that nice roomy sound. Okay, this is great. Periodically press the mute button on the main sub track. So when the track is muted, you should hear nothing. Okay. Again, this is what we're talking about. Remember we put everything on the dry band bus? Everything is going to this dry band bus. And then the output of this dry band bus is going to main sub bus, which is this. So that means that everything ultimately is ending up here. So if you hit mute on this, everything is muted. This is how folders and routing works. You route A to B, B to C, C to D, and then D to E. But if you mute D, it's not going to get to E. That's basically what we're doing here. We're muting it before it gets to our main speaker monitors, because main sub is the last step before it goes to the master, as you can see by the output and input here. So, interesting. The entire track, but there seems to be a problem. Trumpet Falls 2 and 3 are identical. To make things more straightforward, let's create a trash can for that duplicate track, which won't delete it, just in case we need it later. So let's go up to Trumpet Falls 2 and 3, which is in the trumpet folder, routing folder. Okay, here's Trumpet Falls 2, here's Trumpet Falls 3, and if we scroll through, it looks like they're both blank, like there's nothing on there. Active Trumpet Falls 1 is the same thing. Okay, not sure what's going on there. Let's see. Hold on one second. So we're going to create a basic folder track named Trash Can, and we're going to position that track at the bottom of your tracks list. So click on Master, and we're going to create a track, new, basic folder, Trash Can. Put it in all caps, Trash Can. And now what we're going to do is we are going to drag Trumpet Falls 3 into that track. And, first we're going to do is right click on this, make inactive. Now go up to Trumpet Falls 3 and drag it. You can also drag it from here if you want into this trash can. There it is. And because we made the trash can folder inactive, whatever's inside it is inactive. So making trash can folder is a really, and making it inactive is a really cool way to just basically say, I like this track, or maybe I want to use this. I don't know. Let's just put it in here and make it inactive. And then later on, if I need it, at least I didn't trash it. And at the end, this is what it should look like. This is actually a real music session. That's pretty cool. So to submit this, what I would say is hide your clips window. Actually, no, don't hide your clips window. Just make it small. I want to see that you actually brought in all these clips. Make your tracks window small, the way I'm doing it, clicking and holding and dragging it. And select all of your tracks. And then Shift Option while holding on Shift and Option, right click on one of those tracks rulers, like where my mouse is, and make it mini. I want to see, and yes, you won't be able to fit all of it in there, but I just want to see something that looks like this. I want to see that you made folders and that tracks are in there and that all of your clips and tracks list. I want to see all of this, just like that. Take a picture, email it to me, and that is exercise 3.